All right, you all already know who I am, so I'm not going to go through that. My project, I wanted to do something with art, and I wanted to incorporate it outside in our outdoor classroom. So what I decided to do was I got a garden shed, just simply because we have to have some way to store our art materials. And I got a whole lot of art stuff. So I'm just going to read it off real quick here. I got colored masking tape. I got an outdoor easel. I got paper, paint cups and brushes, spray bottles, beach pebbles, paint, disposable gloves, food coloring. I got a lot of food coloring because we use that in a lot of different art activities. I got droppers. I got fake snow, seashells, foam sensory paint. I got sticks, paint sticks that are really neat, and I got wood sticks. And then I ordered some books because I love books, and they teach children things that I don't always know, so I learn from them too. So I just ordered some really neat books, and I'll go over those as I go through the activities that we did. I really wanted my kids to enjoy art and to bring out creativity in all of my students. Sometimes you get a class of kids, you have a couple of kids who go to the art center and they love art and they make all kinds of neat things, but then you have other children who never ever go in the art center. So my goal was to incorporate art into all of my centers, and also in the small group a lot, and also outside, so that when we go outside, it's not just large motor time. I want that outside area to be like a classroom, so that if we're outside, we're doing the same things that we can do inside. So this is one component of my outdoor classroom, is what I'm working on with the art right now. And there is our mud kitchen, which the weather has not permitted for us to use that a lot already, but hopefully this month, if it warms up, we're going to make mud pies. And that's something that a lot of children haven't ever experienced. I did it as a child. I enjoyed it. It's a fun experience, and hopefully it will be successful, and they'll enjoy it too. So I started out this year, we were doing edible art, and I want my children really to realize that art isn't just paper. It's not just a sculpture. It can be edible. It can be a cake decorator is an artist. So we started doing some cake decorating, and you can see we did a cake at Easter. We made a bunny cake, and we did cupcakes at St. Patrick's Day, and we realized that spray icing is not good for young children because it will not come out of the can. So we did not do that with our Easter cake. We actually had a bag, one of the decorators' bags, and that worked much better. And they really enjoyed this, and one of the students actually said, am I an artist now, after we made our cake? And it turned out great. Now this is 3- and 4-year-olds decorating, and they did it. I cut out the cake, but then they decorated it, and I think they did a great job. We also did a monster. Now when we started this, I read a story about a monster, and I told them at circle time, I said, you're going to make something, and it will either eat you or you will eat it. So that got them real excited. And let me tell you something, they went to the table as quick as they could because they wanted to see what could eat them. But we made these little monsters, and they were very simple, just a donut, and they put the little face on it. But it was a fun activity, and that sort of got us started with making some edible art. All right, we did this activity. I just called it dropper art. And we read this story. This is one of the books that I got, The Wonders of the Color Wheel. And this is a great story. It tells you about your primary colors. So we did this activity. We took the 3 primary colors. I just used food coloring and some water and those droppers and Bounty paper towels. And they put the color on there, and then they mixed the colors, and they got their secondary colors. There's no greater teacher than for them to do hands-on experiences and to mix those colors. And you can see, it was a really fun activity, and they turned out great. And I think I had some comments. Hold on just a second. While we were doing this, I had one of my students said, mine's kind of mixing. I had one student who said, here's all three of the primary colors. Mix the blue with the red and it makes purple. And that's a secondary color. You know, this is their vocabulary. This is what they said after that activity. Blue and yellow make green. One of them said, is mine like a rainbow now? We had been talking about the colors of the rainbow. You know, they mixed those colors. They made all 7 colors. I had one who said, I put blue down first and then yellow, and that makes green. So this was just a wonderful activity that we did, just with droppers and some food coloring. And one of them actually called it fireworks, and it did look like fireworks after they put it on the paper towel. This is our colored tape. I've never had kids in my class that they didn't like using tape. So I just put out that tape, they use it, they make things. Every child has used the tape rolls. And we have these available inside, and then we have them outside too. The one little boy was making a boat, he said. And they start out with one idea in their mind. We started out, one of them said they were going to make a rainbow, and then he just liked the blue tape. So he ended up just putting blue, and he called it a boat. And you know, I like for my kids to really think about what they want to make ahead of time. Sometimes that's not what they make, but that's okay too, because their ideas change and they're being very creative. And you know, this was just a lot of fun to do this. And every child is successful. I didn't have one child who participated that didn't feel like they had made some art. All right, I ordered rocks just because I wanted really smooth round rocks, and they were really neat. And we're going to make a rock garden with our rocks. So here they are painting. They really enjoyed this. And this little boy right here, when he started, he said, I'm going to make the earth. And he thought about what colors he needed to use. And you know what? When he got done, it looked like the earth. He had used green and blue and brown, and he really thought about it. And then the other day, now this was done back in February, he made one yesterday, and he said, I remember I made the earth before. He said, I think I'm going to make it again. And he did. So we're going to use these. We have a garden box, and we're going to go ahead and make us a rock garden out there. And I actually had this book that I ordered, and it's called Only One You, and it's about being unique. And you know, and it's okay if yours doesn't look the same as everybody else's. This was a really neat story, and so we did our rock art right after reading that. And you know, and some of the things the kids said during their activity, I had one of the boys told this little boy, I really like yours. You know, when they're complimenting each other, that builds confidence, and it encourages all the kids to participate. You know, if they're looking at each other's projects and they're adding to it, they're saying, oh, I think this color would look good with yours, or you chose a really pretty color. So I love that. I love the social skills that are developing, and that was really one of my goals with this art grant, was to get my students working together on projects. Oh no. Not just by themselves, but together. And you know, and they're enjoying art. And feeling like they have some neat ideas. Now we talked about symmetry, and this is the neatest paint. This is foam paint. And I call these blob paintings. I don't know the actual official name, but that's what I call them, where you just put paint on it, you fold it, and you open it back up. And the kids really like this. I mean, look at his face in that picture when he opened his up. That tells the story right there. And they just love this. And that paint sort of has, you know, when it's folded over, it has that neat feel to it. So it was a sensory experience too. And they could work these really well. They're very kid-friendly paints. Now, our outdoor art, we took our garden area and we had to clear our garden beds. So they used those to make a person. And one of them used the corn cob to make the face, the smile, and they found a snail shell. They used that for an eye. And we worked on these for a couple of days. And one of them said, we need to make a sister. So we had to make another person the next day to be a sister. So, and here's our easel. Now, we use these sticks of paint, which are wonderful. They're easy cleanup, so if you're outside painting, they were wonderful. It was just so simple. They dried quick. We could take our paintings right in, and we're going to continue with that. And I sort of have to hurry because I'm running out of time. But here's what we were doing in Block Center. Like I said, I want to incorporate art into all of our areas. So we started drawing what we were going to build. You know, and that's pretty simple, but I hadn't really thought a lot about that. So I put that dry erase board in there, and that's what we're doing now. So we're sort of planning and then creating and building. All right, and this was really neat. We did a Canvas Art Family Night, was part of my grant. And I had family members come and paint with their children. This family painted one painting together. And then I had other families who, you know, just the child painted. And then I had a great-grandmother who came and painted with her great-grandson. And I thought that was really neat. So we had a lot of different family members there, and it was just a fun time. The kids really enjoyed it, and some of this was, you know, the pattern is traced on there. Sometimes in preschool we sort of frown on that. But one thing about this was it was a family event, but it was the lady who taught it. She talked about shading, she talked about blending, she talked about following the line, and gave them some things that, you know, maybe they hadn't heard before. So I love that. And they had a finished product. It isn't always about the product, but sometimes, you know, it's good to have something to take home with you. And but they had a great time, and the process was good too. So they learned about colors, and they learned about canvas painting, and you know, some of them had never done that before. So we had a really good time, and we displayed these in the library for a day so everybody could see them. Now, my project outcomes. My students are actively engaged in art activities during outdoor and indoor time, which was one of my main goals. They're visualizing what they want to create ahead of time. They are confident, and that's one of my main goals, is to have them confident enough to try things, and they definitely are. They're listening, and they're considering other people's ideas too when they're making an art project. You know, that's important because that's how we learn. We see and we hear and we listen and we learn new ideas. So they're definitely doing that. And they're creating both as individuals and also as a group. And so I'm very happy with what has happened this year in my classroom. Now these are things that we're going to be doing. We're going to be making mud pies. And we're going to do some seashell art projects. We haven't done that yet. We're going to be making fairy houses with some wood and putting those in our rock garden. And then we're going to plant a rainbow, hopefully this week, in our garden area. And they may not get to actually see those flowers blooming, but we got to see them in the fall blooming, and they were beautiful because we had a garden last year. So hopefully this one will do as well. And we're also going to be doing some clay, some naturally occurring clay in our area. I have some in the creek there beside my house, so we're going to be actually doing that. We're going to be making something from that. So I think that will be interesting for my students. And I'm probably out of time, aren't I? Here's a really great book too about symmetry, and I have to share this one. This is called Art Is, and this is wonderful, and it shows children that art isn't just a picture or you know, a sculpture or whatever. It's all over around us. It can be in a cave, it can be a picture you take of a lake, or it can be something you build, or you know, it's all kinds of different things. So it's not just one thing to say, here I made art. You know, it's a wonderful book. And this one's good too, Beautiful Oops. And I actually have a little boy, one part in it says a tear in a paper. It's just the beginning, and he actually did that. This one is an alligator, but he clipped his paper, and then he held it up and he said, oh, a pair of pants. And it did, it looked like a pair of pants. So, you know, just getting kids to realize that just because you tear your paper doesn't mean that it's messed up or it needs to go in the garbage. It can become something. So this was a great book. All right, are there any questions?